The Delta Complex is the most advanced research facility on Mars. Sector 1 contains the power systems, energy core distribution center, and services the administrative functions of the entire Delta Complex. Alright, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Doom 3 walkthrough with commentary, and we have arrived at the rather spooky dimly lit Alpha Delta Labs. Sorry, the Alpha Labs were a long time ago, but now it is the Delta Labs, conducting exciting new experiments in backpack technology! Very amazing. By the way, there's a PDA right there, and I want you to pay attention to this little crawl space over here. I mean, we can't enter this crawl space, but believe it or not, there is actually a vortex that is sucking up pretty much everything around it, including this guy. Because look, he's just gone now. Don't pay attention to the sound of an amp. It was very much just a vortex. Also, see Doom 3's script physics engine in action, as this body appears to levitate by itself and crash through a window. If that had not happened, we would not be able to feasibly progress through the level. Although, maybe you could break the bus. I guess you could break it with your weapon, so it's technically possible without that guy's assistance. You are useless to me! There we go, I wanted to get rid of your body. Dispose of the body! No witnesses! Also, pay attention to that little hole in the wall, because a guy actually kind of runs right through it. It is possible to kill him with a signal rocket, and I've managed to do it maybe once. I don't feel particularly inclined to re-performing that experiment, because it probably doesn't really matter in the end. But it's good that we have a chance to back up some more files on them laptops. And you may have noticed that aside from that guy, I guess, in the wall, we haven't really encountered any enemies so far. And that's actually kind of masterful on Doom 3's part, because at the beginning of this level, nothing really happens for about 5 minutes. Which is kind of a good way of increasing tensions, I must admit. I mean, they try to scare you. I mean, if those 4 panels did not actually burst open with the jet stream of fire, again, we probably wouldn't be able to make progress with the level. And they do have, like, a couple of enemies sort of crawling about on the outsides of the walls, which is kind of interesting as well, but it's really nothing to worry about. You will be fine until a certain point of the level where you actually restore power, in which case, then you are permitted to shoot enemies with guns. By the way, do not press this button, like, immediately, because I think that this may have only happened to me when I was playing a modded version of the game once, but at a certain point in time, I pressed the button early when I wasn't supposed to, because this is technically the exit of the level. And when the elevator decided it didn't accept my security clearance, by the time I actually had the proper security clearance, it still wouldn't respond, and I had to do the level over again. So, just don't press the button. Instead, walk down this dark hallway, listen to the sound of Skype opening, and retrieve the data linker. It might not be immediately obvious at first, but this guy, sort of leaning against it, is an indication that this is the data linker you require. So, let's go on our merry way, backtracking to the little holographic thing over there previously. It's a little terminal that has some pretty cool visual effects on it that may cause the frame rate to drop because I'm recording with Fraps at the same time. And that's just kind of the nature of recording video games. That's a little bit taxing on everything. But drop the data linker in, watch it sink in perfectly, and with that we can see that there is already a problem that we need to face. Is that the main reactor doesn't appear to be functioning at the moment, so we're still kind of running on backup power half of the time. So we have to play engineer once again, but video makeup is requested first.
Green, this is Kelly. If you're watching this, you're tougher than I thought. I guess things aren't always what they seem. Plans have changed. Delta Complex 1's been compromised. You're not safe there. I'm moving to Secure Service Tunnel 1. It's not far from your position. We'll meet there.
Well, at least he isn't too sour about the fact that we pretty much neglected to send the transmission. By the way, this is the point in time where the game decides it can throw enemies at you once again, so break out your plasma gun and your rocket launcher. It's gonna get pretty hairy up in this grill, yo. And I'm actually pretty serious on that. This is kind of a difficult level. It's got enemies. Lots of those whipping tentacle commandos that we have encountered in the previous level. They are back in full force and just as terrifying as ever because they love to get up in your personal space. They have absolutely zero respect for that bubble space. And we can watch that body sort of get dragged up into the ceiling. Never actually noticed that until now, mostly because I was distracted by that tentacle commando right there. Behind this door is an imp, one of those special crouching variations, and walking forward will cause Betrugger great delight as he spawns another imp in your face. That's it. So, not too much to worry about. Instead, what you have to worry about is that there's a guy who was trapped in the closet. There's so many people trapped in the closets in this facility. I think I need to have a serious talk with the administrator about making the closets a little bit more safe for its civilians. Rushing back here causes that pinky to spawn, I believe, so it might not be in your best interests if you are already full on armor. However, running forward either way, whether or not you decided to pick up that armor will cause that guy to pop out of the closet as well. And I mean, I can understand why they would lock him in the closet. He seems like a bit of a security threat overall. So, yeah, I concede. It's a very valid point as to why you would want to lock everyone in the closets. It's for their own personal safety, and your own personal safety. Except they always find a way to reopen the closet doors. So, again, I sort of question what the purpose is in the first place. Rushing over to this little health station will cause a commando to spawn behind you, but we have a chainsaw, so we can just saw his body in half and not have to worry about it at all. Pieces to pieces, and rushing in here, we see the Lost Souls have returned once again. There's a bit more of them this time around in this level, and this is the first room in which you encounter them. Wow, our frame rate is really taking a dive right now. However, employing similar tactics to what we did previously, just sort of circle around them, try to stay out of their direct line of sight, and you should pretty much survive this encounter. A bunch of them will spawn over on that little hatch, but it's only one at a time, so it takes a little bit of time until you stop hearing the sounds of them spawning, and with that, I believe that should be the final one. Yeah, that should be all of them. There's a bunch of cells that you can locate on these shelves, but looking back on it, I think our cell situation is pretty good, so I'm not going to worry about it. There's a huge stash of them up there. I'd be more interested if they were rockets or something, honestly.
Your friends are with me now. Soon, you will join them.
I object to that statement. I did not have any friends in this place. Also, I nearly killed myself right there. Or I would have come close to it, so don't be like me. Instead, headshot this guy with your pistol a couple of times if the first rocket wasn't enough to kill him. And Betrugger is he's just having a great day today. He probably just got his favorite steak sandwich over at the UAC lounge. And man, that steak sandwich must be great because it is just a gift to the demon gods. Also, watch out for that Keko demon around the corner. And strangely enough, this guy actually decided to pop out of the closet. Because I've had a couple of instances where he's decided not to. And he would only pop out if I destroyed those explosive barrels in the corner. So, that's a bit of an interesting occurrence, but yeah, just be mindful of that guy. He may distract you from the Kako Demon, who is arguably the more important target, since he can sort of get up close and personal no matter where you are. Unless you just sort of retreat into that crawl space, and he might not be able to reach you. Storage Locker 21D! You know that PDA that we collected at the start of the level over in the lounge room? Is belonging to a Robert Price, otherwise known as Bobby Prince, who was the composer of the music in the first and second Doom games. The code for this is 298, and you can locate it in an audio log of all things, not an email this time. An audio log regarding a disciplinary action report, and it's important to open this one up because it gives you a pack of 10 rockets, which, again, I will state, these do exist. I'm sorry I forgot about them in a couple of previous episodes. So, let's just go ahead, destroy that explosive barrel, and then move forwards where we can encounter another spooky, scary skeleton. It's around that time of the year where these guys are relevant revenants, but watch out for those two Kako demons that appear out of the wall. I think I may have gotten both of them with those rockets. Yeah, we should be good. Alright, then let's move on ahead. Spawn another Kako demon just around the corner. However, I'm going to shoot him with my plasma gun for no real reason, because the machine gun would probably be a better choice in that situation, but I felt like using my plasma gun because they're giving us a whole bunch of ammo for it. This guy I'll use my shotgun on. And this sergeant over here deserves a chainsawing in the balls. Now then, move on forward and drop down into this little crawl space where we can encounter the scariest enemy in the game. It's a zombie. Yeah, take that, wall. That's all I wanted to show you down there. Instead, this guy might be a little more scary because he sort of does a fancy little trick. It was almost like a cartwheel, but he's not the greatest at gymnastics, it doesn't appear. However, down here I'm actually going to use my plasma gun again because This area is just a little bit too tight to be using the machine gun in, and I will destroy that Revenant with my bare hands. Or not, because he actually destroyed himself, I'm going to assume. Yes, the force of that rocket caused him to trip over that little handrail, and suffering the impact of that handrail, he landed on his bony chest or rib cage, and then he collapsed because his rib cage broke. That's the explanation I'm gonna go with. Hello. And moving on into this room is the second encounter with the Lost Souls, and this one can actually be kind of spooky, because at first it's kind of innocent. You've got two Lost Souls who are just standing out there, and once again they have to take a kind of specific road to reach you, but this room is also kind of special, because some Lost Souls are kind of able to... Yeah, they are able to ascend above the handrails, and they will be able to charge you in this place, which is different compared to the previous levels where I encountered them. I believe in the Empro plant, the handrails of the guardrails were simply too tall for them to cross over, so they had to take different routes to reach you, but these guys, they are perfectly capable of floating above the guardrails, so be mindful of that detail. And shoot this Kako Demon, who also shares similar properties, where he has the ability to rise above the guardrails. Running over here, there actually isn't much of a purpose, except if you want ammunition, and in the end you're just going to be spawning more extra enemies, so... If you want that extra bit of a challenge, or if you are just going after as many kills as possible, like me, then that's definitely an option. Behind that door is another Revenant, but if I aim this just right... I didn't aim it just right. Oh well. 2 rockets really isn't too taxing, considering the amount that I typically get per ammo pack. So, let's initialize power to the reactor, and it's kind of like a giant wind turbine, and I'm surprised that this thing isn't like splitting ears once you're right next to it, and I'm dead serious because we have to go up to the upper lofts. We cannot leave this place currently because we do not have adequate security clearance. So let's just run around this corner, shoot this guy with our shooty. And also, this gentleman as well. There should be a zombie around this corner guarding that little ammo pack over there. That should be an ammo belt. Yes, I will definitely use the chain gun momentarily. But first of all, I have to rise up another ladder. And cause... I think it's 2 imps to spawn. So this guy over here, and you're going to do a super hardcore fireball fling. However, that plan kind of blew up in your face, I'm going to say. So, running up to this giant turbine, we can find 3 Kako Demons. They're actually spawning 3 of them in a row this time, which is kind of a pleasant surprise. It's good that there's just more than 2 for once. It actually provides a little bit more of a challenge, and an excuse for me to use my chain gun, of course. That's always welcome. Over there, I think there just may be a clip over there. Running over there is actually not going to trigger any enemies. This will trigger, I think, 2 Lost Souls. 1 over there, and 1 to the right of you as well. Also, be very wary of that door, because behind it is going to be a tentacle commando as soon as you open it up. So I'm gonna crouch right here, use the power of the chainsaw to deal with the foe aggressively, and drop down here if you want to collect a few more power-ups. However, I think we're pretty good on health. Also, I don't know why that noise plays, because every time I go back up to check and see if there are enemies, I just don't encounter any whatsoever, so I'm beginning to think it was just a scripted event. So, just ignore that sound. Instead, focus on the guy that appears on the other side of the room, use a chainsaw against him, and scan your card, so that way you can open up this door. I'm actually going to run backwards, because as soon as the door opens up, then that triggers that imp to jump forwards, let you know that he exists, and with that, move on. But first, going to show you that there's a health kit down there. That's a pretty important health kit. In this room, this sort of service tunnel, I was going to say garage, I suppose it could sort of work as a garage, there are 3 Kako Demons. There's one that's already spawned in the level for you. However, once you run forward, that's going to spawn 1 in front of you, and another should be flanking me from behind. And I'm gonna see how long it takes for me to kill these guys with my pistol, just because you may have been noticing I've been running this tradition of sort of utilizing all my available weapons in my inventory per level. And I just kind of like breaking my pistol out once in a while. You know me, it's just, I like to get as much use out of as many weapons as I possess as possible throughout each level. That's just the way I am when it comes to playing video games, and I apologize if you find it a little bit awkward, but it adds a little bit of variety to each recording session, because I could have killed that guy with my chainsaw, but I got to use my plasma rifle instead. It's different, and I like being different, especially considering how much ammunition is given to you throughout the game. I mean, The point I had made in a previous recording session was that I felt as though Doom 3's level design sort of reflected on the fact that if there were a custom level select, then perhaps there would be enough ammunition provided for all of your weapons to just make it through that level A-okay. But the way it's also set up, I kind of admire how much ammunition is distributed because it lets you adopt your own playstyle and sort of choose which kinds of weapons you want to use in a given situation, rather than strictly rely on a limited amount of ammunition that's given to you. It's kind of a double-edged sword, in a sense. I guess that's one way you could put it, because it doesn't really add too much of a factor of a challenge once you sort of know what you're doing. In fact, the BFG edition of this game actually lets you carry even more ammunition, which I find perplexing, because what was wrong with the original ammo caps? I don't know. There's a piece of armor down there, by the way. But, in the end, I'd say that the way Doom 3 is designed is relatively harmless. It's an action shooter, it knows what it wants to be. Even though it tries to be a horror game, it sort of stumbles in some aspects. I think it made a pretty decent attempt at being an action game. So, with that being said, I will save more of my final thoughts towards the end of the playthrough, but for now, let's not open this door, because we are not authorized. Let's go through the door that is already open, which leads us to a corridor. A rather quiet corridor. These are the archives. It doesn't appear as though much is really happening over here, but judging from the layout of this area, you may have been able to tell that these were all closets, filled with chainsaw bait. Boop-a-doop-doo. Oh, one of you punched me. That was very nice of you. But it's okay, because there's just a health kit right over here, so I can tend to my wounds. I'm going to lean around this corner real quick, so I can spawn that commando and kill him with my rocket launcher. And this is the point of the game where they decide to introduce the new variant of the commandos, or technically it's an older variant since they were encountered in the previous Doom game. Punish this mortal! These are chain gun commandos, making their reappearance from the Doom 2 days. I hate these enemies. These are my least favorite throughout the entire game. Not least favorite, most hated. And you know why? Because they have twice as much health compared to the regular tentacle-swinging commandos. They can snipe at you if they choose to avoid taking cover, as they did in Doom 2, so there's effectively no limit at what range they choose to shoot at you. And what makes them even more dangerous is that when they decide to pursue you rather than taking cover, you'll get destroyed. So, the rocket launcher is pretty much the best weapon I could recommend against these guys. If you do aim for headshots that you can feasibly kill them in a single shot. Like, nah, I didn't quite manage to do it that time. Believe me, it is possible. I've done it a couple of times, but it works much better against stationary targets compared to moving targets. It's just kinda difficult to aim for headshots with a rocket launcher in the first place. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan. The only benefits I find of placing these enemies in any level in this game is that they effectively provide a renewable resource of chain gun ammunition, which, again, is always welcome. Any excuse that I can find to use the chain gun makes me happy, because the chain gun is probably my third favorite weapon in this game. The second favorite would likely be the chainsaw, because it's just a ridiculously powerful weapon if you know how to use it properly. And of course the first favorite being the rocket launcher. And look at that! Back here's a little secret stash of rockets. And we're going to be needing these rockets because we're going to be using our rocket launcher a bunch over here. So, having looped around and collected our adequate security clearance to leave this place, we'll start off by spawning that Revenant around the corner. Just give him a little bit of time. And boop. Watch out, because around that door which we entered earlier is going to spawn that commando. So those two guys, they aren't too much of a threat. However, there's one extra enemy spawn in this level. And if you guess the pattern of which it spawns, yes, we have to loop around that entire pathway we just took to kill one extra enemy that spawns. And this one is just plain stupid, really. Now, I'm going to spoil this right now. It's not an extra imp. That I can be very grateful for, because the extra imp spawns were just kinda getting monotonous at this point in time. The imps are the flagship enemies of this game. They sort of carry the tradition of being the ones that are used for the most scares and the spooks, the creeps and the peeps and the beeps. But I don't really like it when the game has you trek all the way back just to spawn an enemy, which otherwise, I really wouldn't understand the point of doing this, unless you were looking, again, for any extra ammo packs or health kits, or anything that you may have neglected to pick up previously. It's available if you want to pick it up again. Otherwise, all you're really doing is just heading back to chase one enemy who is just standing here with his back to you. Why? Why do you exist? What function do you serve, other than to trip up a poor, lost, confused player? I don't know. Well, that rant is over. So, we may continue on with the actual level, which we are closing in towards the finishing of. The exit is pretty much just around the corner, and we only have 2 more enemies to kill. And they are right next to that service elevator, which I was referring to earlier was the one that could cause you to get stuck in this level for all eternity. Possibly, if you press the button too early without proper security clearance or authorization. So, head back to Delta Authority. Come on, close the doors. We're almost there, ladies and gentlemen. It takes a little bit of time trekking back to where we were previously, but all we have to do is just keep on sprinting onwards, go through the archives once again, and I might be able to take a shortcut up ahead, actually, because there's a little guardrail over here that, if you time it just right, it's not really all that difficult, then you could just jump down here, land on another handlebar, which causes you to take 10 damage because falling damage is cool and video games need that. And running around this corner, we are going to encounter 2 more chain gun commandos. So, one of them will actively pursue you like this. The other guy stands in a designated location. So, I'm gonna see if I can try killing him with 1 rocket. There we go. Just to prove it to you, yes, if you land a headshot, you can kill these guys in a single rocket, just like the Revenants. Otherwise, it takes 2 rockets, and it's not too much of a heavy cost to pay. So, with that said, we are completely done with the first sector of the Delta Labs, so let's move on to Delta Labs 2.